And good morning once again, my brothers and sisters at Living Hope Community Church, Iglesia Esperanza Viviente, and throughout the world. What a blessing it is to have another study with you this morning. Today we find ourselves in Deuteronomy chapter 31. And something amazing about God is said again in a different way. As we've gone through this book, we've listened to the blessings for obedience and the threats for disobedience. It's almost every chapter has something about if you do the right thing, this is what will happen. If you do the wrong thing, this is what will happen. One thing that's just amazing about it, though, is as this community prepares to fail, because God knows that they are going to fail, and as God issues his warnings and threats against them for their failure, God still is moving his promise forward. Despite the unfaithfulness and rebellion of his people, God is still willing to say, I am going to keep my promise to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am going to discipline this group. I am going to make sure they suffer for moving away from the truth, which, of course, that's still the case for all of us today. When we believe lies and move into error, we suffer. But in the end, God is faithful. Despite the unfaithfulness of his people, God's promise is going to be fulfilled through God's providence. Let me show you. Here we see it in Deuteronomy 31. Then Moses went out and spoke these words to all Israel. I am now 120 years old. That's old. That's really old. Right? And I am no longer able to lead you. Okay, Moses' physical strength is drained out. It's over for him. Oh, and then look at this line. The Lord has said to me, what? You shall not cross the Jordan. Remember, Moses was commanded to speak to the rock, to have water for the people, and Moses struck the rock. And Moses has had so much experience in the direct presence of God that God said, look, that's enough for you. We're going to administer this one piece of judgment against you, Moses, because you know too much to be disobedient to me in any way. All right? So Moses admits here, I'm not going into the promised land with you all. The Lord your God himself will cross over ahead of you. Now that's very comforting news, right? God's going to move in front of us and bring us to this place. He will destroy these nations before you. You will take possession of their land. Joshua, oh, here comes a transition in leadership. Joshua also will cross over ahead of you as the Lord said. So we're about to have a transition, and the Lord will do to them what he did to Sihon and Og, the kings of the Amorites, whom he destroyed along with their land. You remember Israel has already experienced success in battle. The Lord will deliver them to you, and you must do to them all that I have commanded you. And here's the command here, be strong and courageous. In other words, this idea that we're not strong enough to accomplish what God's telling us to do is an idea we need to throw out. We need to be strong and courageous. If God commanded us to move into the promised land, if he commands us to deal with these pagan nations in judging them on his behalf, we have to believe that he's going to give us the strength to accomplish what he's called us to do. Let's be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or terrified because of them, for the Lord your God goes with you. He will never, oh, there's another great line, he will never leave you nor forsake you. So the presence of God is going to be in the midst of them as they pursue God's will by entering the promised land. And then Moses summoned Joshua and said to him in the presence of all Israel, Moses tells Joshua the same thing, be strong and courageous, for you must go with this people into the land that the Lord swore to their forefathers to give them. Just look at that last little line. The Lord swore to their forefathers to give them. Why is all this happening despite the disobedience of the people? Because God has made a covenant. God has promised. God never lies. God never goes back on a promise. Right? So the Lord swore to your forefathers to give them this land, and you must divide it among them as their inheritance. The Lord himself goes before you. So now we're hearing the same thing said to Joshua that was said to the people, and will be with you. He will never leave you nor forsake you. Again, the same credentials given to Joshua as were given to the people. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Again, admonition. Move forward. So Moses wrote down this law and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all the elders of Israel. Then Moses commanded them, at the end of every 7 years, in the year of canceling debts, during the Feast of Tabernacles, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God at the place he will choose, you shall read this law before them in their hearing. Again, what are we told? Repetition, repetition, reminders. We're so easily distracted. Why does the pastor tell the congregation, read your Bible every day? Why? Because we're so prone to forget. We're so prone to walk away. We need to be rooted in the truth. And the only way to do that is to continuously expose ourselves to the truth. Same in ancient Israel. This is exactly what God's saying. Read this law before them. Let them all hear it again and again and again. Assemble the people, men, women, and children, and the aliens living in your town, so they can listen and learn to fear the Lord your God and follow carefully all the words of this law. Listen and learn. You might be unfamiliar, but we're going to have a gathering where the law is restated over and over and over again. Their children who do not know this law must hear it and learn to fear the Lord your God as long as you live in the land you are crossing the Jordan to possess. The Lord said to Moses, now the day of your death is near. 120. Time to go, Moses. Call Joshua and present yourselves at the tent of meeting where I will commission him. God is now going to supervise, implement the transition, bringing Joshua to the front as the leader of the people as Moses prepares for his own death. So Moses and Joshua came and presented themselves at the tent of meeting. God has a procedure that he wants to take them through to make the transition noticeable and acknowledged by all the people. Then the Lord appeared at the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the cloud stood over the entrance to the tent. And the Lord said to Moses, you are going to rest with your fathers, and these people will soon These people will soon prostitute themselves to the foreign gods of the land they are entering. They will forsake me and break the covenant I made with. Hey, what? God understands right from jump. These people are going to go astray. They are not going to keep the promise. We've had 30 chapters in the book of Deuteronomy, 30 chapters. Please obey the Lord over and over and over. This is what's going to happen to you if you disobey the Lord. And now we see the Lord in chapter 31 saying, I know they're going to go the wrong way. That's what they're going to do. I know it. I've given them every opportunity. I've expressed myself clearly. They have full knowledge of what I want. They're just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Okay. On that day, I will become angry with them and forsake them. I will hide my face from them, and they will be destroyed. Again, all the threats that we've been making for the last 30 chapters are going to come upon them because they refuse to obey. Many disasters and difficulties will come upon them, and on that day they will ask, have not these disasters come upon us because our God is not with us? Look at this. They even understand that God has hidden his face from them because they will not do what God has asked them to do. And I will certainly hide my face on that day. Because, why does God hide? Because of all their wickedness in turning to other gods. I delivered them from slavery in Egypt. I sustained them miraculously day after day for the last several decades. I've shown myself strong. I've put down every rebellion. I've blessed when obedience was happening. They know me. They should want to follow me. They turn to other gods. Oh, okay. So God gets to that place where he says, look, if you have all this understanding and information and knowledge and background and you still refuse me, let me hide my face. It reminds me of Romans 1, where the wickedness of the people drive God to give them over. Right? If you read Romans 1, he gives them over first to sexual impurity, then he gives them over to homosexuality, then he gives them over to a depraved mind. This is exactly where we are in our culture in the United States right now. We've been given over. We're under the judgment of God because we refuse to obey. We know about him. We know what he wants. We just say, no, we're not going to do that. Well, here's an illustration in Deuteronomy 31, thousands of years ago, where God's saying the same thing. You don't want me? Okay, I'll hide my face from you. Now write down for yourselves this song and teach it to the Israelites and have them sing it so that it may be a witness for me against them. All right? What's the song going to be about? Well, we'll see that when we get to chapter 32, but just understand, in music, God is ordaining a song here so that the people are reminded of who he is, what he's done, and why they should obey him. They will have absolutely no excuse. When I have brought them into the land flowing with milk and honey, look at this, here it is again, the land I promised on oath to their forefathers. Even in their disobedience, I'm going to honor my promise. And when they eat their fill and thrive, they will turn to other gods and worship them, rejecting me and breaking my covenant. Disaster, terrible disaster. And when many disasters and difficulties come upon them, this song will testify against them because it will not be forgotten by their descendants. I know what they're disposed to do even before I bring them into the land I promised them on oath. So God, in full knowledge of the rebellious attitude and heart of the people, is still committed to doing what he said he would do. When he promised Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob the fact that they would enter the promised land, their people would be here. Despite the disobedience, God moves his plan forward. It tells us that God's plan does not depend necessarily on our obedience. He's going to judge, he's going to discipline, he's going to reroute the progress if he has to. If we won't obey, he'll find another way. But in the end, he will always keep his promise. So Moses wrote down this song that day and taught it to the Israelites. The Lord gave this command to Joshua, son of Nun. Again, we hear it for the second time addressed directly to Joshua. Be strong and courageous, for you will bring the Israelites into the land I promised them on oath, and I myself will be with you. What a great promise. I myself will be with you. After Moses finished writing in a book the words of this law from beginning to end. Oh, by the way, we should pause here and say Moses is the author attributed with writing the first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Moses is recording everything that's happening along the way. Okay, after Moses finished writing all this down, right, from beginning to end, he gave this command to the Levites who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. Take this book of the law and place it beside the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God. There it will remain as a witness against you. God continues to say, look, you guys have no excuse. You know exactly what I want. I've shown you who I am. I've revealed myself to you. You have no way to say that you didn't understand. For I know how rebellious and stiff-necked you are if you have been rebellious against the Lord while I am still alive and with you. How much more will you rebel after I die? If I'm not here to govern you, you're going to go crazy. What is it about this people that just refuses to do what's right? Well, before I get too hard on them, I have to step back and look at my own life and say, I've had many points in my own life where I've gone the wrong way. Knowing what I know about God, still, the sinful nature comes into our hearts and we say, I'm going to go my own way today. God says, look, you're leading yourself to your own destruction every time you make that choice. Here it is illustrated in the book of Deuteronomy. The text says, "Assemble before me all the elders of your tribes and all your officials so that I can speak these words in their hearing and call heaven and earth to testify against them." There it is again. You guys have no excuse. We're going to testify against you over and over. "For I know that after my death, you are sure to become utterly corrupt." Wow, you're sure to become utterly corrupt and to turn away from the way I have commanded you. In days to come, disaster. What? Disaster is going to fall on you. Why? Because you will do evil in the sight of the Lord and provoke him to anger by what your hands have made. Again, a clear reference to idolatry. And Moses recited the words of this song from beginning to end in the hearing of the whole assembly of Israel. And we stop there and wait for chapter 32, because this will be the song that is a further indictment of what God has already said to them, so that they are irrefutably convicted because of their own unwillingness to follow. Well, so today we have a day of choices before us. Let's make the choice to follow God and obey him in every area of our lives. What we think, what we say, our attitudes, what we do. Let's yield ourselves to the vine as the branch so that we can be used to produce the fruit of God. I pray for you that you'll serve him well today, church. God bless you.
Who is it who for sinners shed his blood, and now for cleansing all can plunge beneath that flood? It's Jesus. But do you know who he is? He's the image of the invisible God, and he's the brightness of his glory, the first, the last, the future, the past. He is God.